Brainstorm, a comedy game design podcast for two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me as always is Ben Slinger.
What do we do now?
That is the theme for today. In our second of, well, probably 3 Global Game Jam
themed episodes, yep.
We're going to tackle the theme from, what year was it?
2015.
2015.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do now?
So yeah, for those who haven't listened to our last week's episode, we are participating in the 2018 Global Game Jam next week, and just as a lead up to that, we're going to do a few episodes where we're, for every click pitch, we're also adding in one of the previous themes from the past year's Global Game Jams, just for a bit of a challenge and to get us used to, working on sort of a set theme. Sounds
great. Do you want to tell our listeners all about the game that we'll be playing today?
Yeah, so this is Click Pitch, and we each have a random word generator in front of us, and on the count of 3, 2, 1, we click refresh. We get a new word, and we put those 2 words together, and in this case, with the additional theme of what do we do now, and we make a game design out of that. So let's do it.
3, 2, 1, click.
Small.
Carpeting.
What do we do now?
Okay,
you got something?
So, you know how there's this movie out at the moment called Downsizing?
Yeah. I don't know what it's about. Is it a shrinking movie?
Yes, it's about basically to combat global warming and all this sort of stuff. Matt Damon agrees to have this shrinking process happen, where he gets made a lot smaller. So I'm thinking...
Is that just to reduce his carbon footprint?
Just to reduce the carbon footprint.
Of just his... I don't think it's going to have a huge impact.
There's a whole heap of people who are having this done, and it basically means that, your money's actually worth a lot more because, you don't...
It goes further.
It goes further and all that.
You can eat one grape for an entire day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
So the idea being that he gets downsized, he goes into his house, he expects it fully furnished, and there's nothing.
Okay.
So he goes, what do we do now, to his wife? Okay. I don't know if he's got a wife in the movie. I haven't seen it. And pretty much it's just them furnishing their house with having to choose, carpet samples and that sort of stuff.
So they're in a tiny house that's like their size?
A dollhouse, I'm thinking.
Okay.
So it's effectively a dollhouse.
Okay.
I like the idea that maybe you see like big people in the background.
Yeah, I was going to say, do they have to like scavenge for like bottle caps and cardboard boxes and things to build their furniture?
Yeah, I think it's... this is very early on, so it's maybe not Matt Damon, but it's probably, like the earliest people who they did it to themselves, and then they're like, okay, what do we do now? And they've got to carpet their dollhouse with.
Gonna carpet their dollhouse.
With like offcuts of.
That's kind of cool. My first thought, because I didn't know exactly where you were going, was they've been downsized. They're moving into their new house, except nobody told the people making the house that they were tiny, and so they get there and it's a normal sized house. And so like getting from the
they get lost in the carpet.
Well, yeah, that's it. Getting from the kitchen to the bedroom is like having to walk across a desert of like short pile rug.
God,
and like fighting cockroaches and snacking on crumbs.
Okay, so it's the movie. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but it's inside this time instead of being in the grass. It's going through the plush pile.
It's basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah.
Yep. That sounds awesome.
And you, yeah, exactly. And like the big boss is your 2-year-old who was not shrunk. That's the final boss of the game. And
mini bosses. You've got like
the cat,
mice. You've got a cat.
Yep. Vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, vacuum cleaner. That's an awesome boss.
The maid comes.
Okay, so it's like a Tomb Raider style game, or no, an Assassin's Creed style game that you can climb up like the furniture and shit.
Oh yeah, totally.
And
that'd be cool.
You get vantage points, and it sort of does the huge circle around.
Yeah, and it's like there's a blowfly.
It's either a blowfly or a mozzie.
Yeah, it's a mozzie.
And it's mozzie vision.
You can if a dragonfly gets into the house, you can like use it as a mount.
Okay, so I like the idea that when you're this size, you can actually talk to the insects. So like you're getting, just so happens the reason why we at normal size can't actually understand the insects is because they seem to talk at a much faster rate. And, the size has changed.
Well, the frequency, right? The frequency.
And the frequency.
For our large ears, it doesn't sound like anything. But if you've got tiny ears, then those sound waves hit your ears in a much different way and you can understand them. Sure. And they all, funnily enough, speak English, weirdly.
Yeah, they do. Well, they talk all different languages. I'm
presumably, like, if you're in an English-speaking country, they speak English. So they learn from the people around them.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So I reckon they're who you're getting the side quests off.
Okay, they've all got little exclamation points above their heads.
Not all, but some, yes.
There's like the mafioso cockroach who's just been around for days now, which is huge in cockroach terms.
Yeah, so I'm picturing that some of the things that you've got to go out and do is like disable the mortine bomb and what else? Like
save the butterfly that got caught in a spider's web.
Yeah,
you've got choices. You can negotiate, or you can just like use combat and take down that spider.
So, clean out like mouse traps. Go out there with a match and sort of flick all the mouse traps so that the big mafioso
cockroach.
His boss is the mouse that you eventually fight.
Oh,
as one of the boss guys.
Yeah, totally. He's like all scarred up. It's like,
but it's basically to make him happy.
Yeah, totally. He's got a racket on all the cheese,
or peanut butter, depending on what you were using.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a lot harder to get off the mousetraps, I think. But
but once they're actually sprung, then there's no problems with it anymore. I like the idea that there's maybe you've put down a roach motel and you've got to go save the mafioso's daughter or son from within the roach motel.
Yeah.
So you've got to sort of work out how to get through the sticky stuff.
So is there a moment where, like any good movie where a cop goes to prison, that all these insects realize that you're the people who have been killing all their family for years?
I think that maybe, yes, that does happen at some stage, but I like the idea that it's not, they just can't fathom that you were the big people.
Right.
You just so happen to look, you're small and therefore they don't understand the idea that you can go bigger or smaller.
Until you run into like that one really smart insect who's just like an outcast from all his peers because he's too clever and he can read and stuff. And he realizes. Yeah. And then that all builds up to that final boss against the baby who's just like thinks you're a toy. And weirdly enough, like if you get the bad ending, you have to kill the baby. Like it's a bit of a twist and it's really dark. But like
he swallows you, but you choke him.
It's really sad. That's the only, like, it just becomes if you haven't done well enough throughout the game and if you didn't pick up like the dummy at the beginning and store it away, then there's no way to calm the baby down, and your only way to survive is kill the baby. Yeah. I know,
very dark.
It was a controversial decision from the developer. But I think it pays off. It's got a really interesting message about baby killing.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, ideally.
Okay, we're going to click again. 3, 2, 1, click. Tinting.
Accomplice. What do we do now?
Okay, so a car has just come in to the shop. It's got the worst tint that you've ever seen.
Okay.
And you and your accomplice in a co-op game have to to decide what do they do now. Do they strip off the old stuff? Do they replace the windshield?
It's a window tinting game. I'm interested to hear how you will make this game fun.
An interesting controller scheme.
The original Wii remotes. You have to like scrape off the existing tint, but it's really janky controls because it keeps losing the sensor, and it's just not accurate, not very accurate. That's where the challenge comes in.
No, I'm trying to think what old controller can we use. What's one that we haven't thought about for a long time?
The Nintendo Power Glove.
Oh god, that's horrible. But yes, we'll use the Nintendo Power Glove.
It's just buttons, right? It's just another way to press A, B.
Yeah, and you have to actually like program in the sort of movement that you actually want to do. And
well, does it have? Did it actually have movement stuff, or I thought it was just like you press your fingers together and things?
It had movement stuff, but it was basically you put some sensors on around the TV, and they were effectively like a Wii.
Oh, really? I didn't realize it was that advanced.
Yeah. You could actually like move the hand, and it would detect where the hand was.
Huh.
Just really, really bad.
Yeah. I'm sure the accuracy was not great.
Yeah. So effectively, it works just like the Wii remote. Only 20 years earlier. But so okay, what do you have to do first? Scrape off the old tint.
I don't know. I've never tinted anything. I guess so. It's just like a sort of a covering over the window, isn't it? That like sticks to the window with a couple of layers or something.
So the idea is that you got to get rid of all the bubbles.
Right. Okay. So that's where the actual gameplay comes in. Is like pushing those bubbles to the edges without getting any creases or getting it stuck.
Yep.
This could be a whole like series of mini games where you're not only tinting car windows, but you're like putting on screen protectors on your phone. And the alternate one of like peeling off those protectors that come on hardware, that you take off once you buy it.
Oh, I'm really good at those. I love those.
Yeah. And bubble wrap. We'll just have some bubble wrap in there too.
Oh, yeah. The feeling of unwrapping, a piece of equipment that you just got with an LCD screen, and you're like, oh, yeah, just took off that protection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Orgasmic. Okay, 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah, I think so. Reptile.
Shellfish.
What do we do now? So there's star-crossed lovers.
Oh God!
You have to figure out how they've just got married. It's their wedding night. They get home.
It's their first time.
They're like,
they go, what do
we do now?
I don't even know whether we've got bits that are compatible.
I've got an exoskeleton. You've got an inner skeleton. How's this gonna? Yeah, and it's like QWOP sort of controls where you're moving actual different body parts, or like I am bread.
Oh God! No.
All right. Well, maybe it's something different. Maybe it's like a Banjo-Kazooie style buddy adventure.
Yep.
Between a reptile and a shellfish.
Okay.
Right. What sort of shellfish first? Like a
I kind of like lobster.
Lobster. Okay. Yeah. Big guy.
I'm just picturing this big guy on the back of a lizard. That are just
all right. And so
awesome,
a lizard, like a. Well, how big a lizard? Like a goanna. Because if it's going to carry a lobster,
if it's going to carry a lobster, so maybe it's a baby crocodile. So it's not huge.
So they're actually similar in size.
Similar in size, and
the
you've
croc's
got basically
a bit bigger. Yeah.
the lobster on top of the croc. Mm-hmm. So you've got the really nasty strong jaws of the croc
on the front,
and then right beside it,
like
the
pincers.
2 massive pincers.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go anywhere near that end of the croc, the cropster, the crocster.
The crocster, I guess.
Lobodile.
So, can you like go into different configurations then? Like, because the lobster can turn around. If something's coming up behind you, then you move those to the back or the side.
So it's a co-op game.
Yeah. Okay.
One person controls the croc.
Mm-hmm.
One person controls the lobster.
That makes sense.
So the lobster has actually damaged his legs, so he has to be on top of the croc.
Right. Okay. So there's this real like heartwarming intro sequence where this lobster, I don't know, What happened? How did it lose its legs?
I'm thinking that he was originally going to be someone's dinner, so he had the rubber bands on the pincers.
Oh, all right, yeah,
and like they were.
So that's good actually, because for the first levels, you like the first couple of levels, you've still got those rubber bands on, and so you don't have those pincers yet, and so the croc comes. So is it start in a restaurant? Maybe this croc, maybe she was a pet crocodile in there, sort of in the big aquarium. It was like a feature of this restaurant. You come here and they've got a crocodile. But she falls in love. This is still maybe that was the previous one, but maybe they're still in love. She falls in love with this camaraderie. Okay, there's a camaraderie between the lobster and let's not get down the romance path. Across the crowded restaurant, they meet eyes and this poor lobster with its pincers banded. Well, I guess anyway in the other tank.
I'm starting to see that at the very start, you're trying to get away. All you can do is move the legs, and then the chef brings down the massive butcher's knife and cuts off.
Takes off the legs.
Takes off one side of your legs. So,
and that's And is that where the croc comes into play and has to come save you? She jumps out of the tank and
kicks you onto the back, and then sort of jumps out the window, and you get a freeze frame, and it's
Lobodile. No, I was thinking it was a freeze frame with the record scratch. You might be wondering how I got here.
I would love it if it was completely voiced over by either the crocodile or the lobster.
Oh, I think both. Yeah. You sort of hear their inner monologue as they think about each other, as they're thinking about what's going on. Actually, I like that. The very first scene actually is both of them jumping out the window of a restaurant, and that's where you get the record scratches. You might be wondering how we got here. And then it goes back and you play that first level of the escape and the intro to them all.
Yep.
And then when you get back to that point of them jumping out the window, that's where you get the title card. Lobodile. Adventures through Paris.
Friendship.
And friendship. Yes.
I like the idea that so you manage to escape the city. Okay. And then all you're trying to do is get back to the ocean.
Yep. Well, wait. The crocodiles are freshwater, aren't they?
This is a saltwater croc.
Okay.
So I don't know where lobsters go, but either way, they're trying to get home. They happen to live in a similar place, and they've become friends. And I don't know. I like the idea that it's not quite an open world, but it's
No, I think it's maybe level like a hub based thing, maybe. Kind of like a Banjo-Kazooie sort of thing, where you go to different levels and you have to. I don't know. Is it platformer sort of combat-ish, classic? Things get too close and you can use your pincers, or maybe you can throw flip the lobster up with your jaws or something. I
kind of like the idea of it being a Metal Gear Solid style stealth game. In that,
okay.
In that, obviously the Lobodile is going to be, being tracked by people. So the idea of having to get under a cardboard box and sneak and then stop. And then sneak again.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, then the flipping of the lobster up could be for, to unlock a door or something. You flip them up the top and they drag them, he drags himself along with his pincers and snips the wire or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be fun.
I like this.
So what's the
hell we
game?
Do this at
a game jam? Yeah, this sprawling platformer with multiple characters that have to interact with each other. We can do that in 48 hours. Yeah,
no, this is the extra little one that we do in an hour at the end.
Oh, right, that final challenge. Yeah, totally. Final countdown. All right, I think let's click again. And all right, just for an extra challenge, let's try to make this next game. We won't do it for all of them because that could get a bit tedious. But let's try to make this next game simple enough that we think we could actually implement it in 48 hours.
Okay, awesome. That extra little wrinkle is going to really derail us. Okay, 3, 2, 1, click.
Totally.
Brute.
pest. What do we do now? This is almost another insect-based sort of thing. Maybe you're like a dog chasing squirrels, and your name is Brute.
We
did squirrels last week.
I kind of like the idea. Okay. You play a dung beetle.
Okay.
And to push your ball of poo along, you need brute strength.
Yeah, all right.
And in this particular place, like, you're effectively being chased a la Limbo by different things because people think of you as a pest. And your whole gameplay idea is you need to get your ball of poo to safety.
All right.
So I like the idea that there's different like physics puzzles that you've got to sort of do.
So are you thinking like sort of side on like Limbo and inside? Yeah. So sort of
side on, yeah.
So 3D but 2-dimensional motion for the most part, yeah. Okay, well that could be interesting because you've got your dung.
Yep.
That you can add to as you find new piles of dung.
Yes.
But yeah, you have to like roll it everywhere.
Have to roll it like everywhere because you're an insect. You're technically a pest. You can basically have parts of the game in which you've got massive feet coming down because you're walking. You're trying to push it over like over a sidewalk, a busy sidewalk.
Yeah.
So,
or they're just trying to stomp you, like they've seen you and.
I kind of like the idea of, in Limbo and inside, when something happens, it restarts from just...
Yeah, you've just basically got the one little segment that you're trying to get through, one little puzzle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I like that idea that as well as just trying to save yourself, you have to keep your dung safe. Because you need it for a later part of the puzzle, right? If it gets kicked or squished or whatever, then that's kind of puzzle that you can't beat it.
It's part of your physics thing in that, you're going to sometimes have to, like, use it to climb up something so that you can get a little bit further so you can activate, like, a little crane that can come pick it up.
Or, like, open a door that you can open a door that the switch is on the other side. But exactly. But I also like the idea that in some of these more challenging, like, feet are coming down and stuff, it's things like you have to push the dung like under shelter, but there's not room for you and the dung. So there's a bit of timing of like, all right, get that under there. And then I need to like jump up onto this other bit or like run back to the previous one or something. Yeah, exactly. So you kind of got these two things. It's basically an escort mission, but for poo.
Yeah. And the poo is not sentient.
And the poo is funnily, no. No. I just thought of the idea of like it just occasionally like opens its eyes and gives you encouragement.
Just winks at you and
or like tells you you're doing a bad job, or like screams when it gets squished. I don't know.
just got one of those Fitbits in it from last week.
God. Or maybe it's like the whole time, and you finally get to the end, and it like opens its eyes and it's like thanks and gives you a wink. That's it.
And then rolls off into the sunset.
Yeah, it's like, what, you could move yourself this whole time? Fuck.
But you wanted something that was simple. I
like that. Yeah, we could pull that off. As long as we've got some artists who can do a really nice like poo texture for the dung ball and model
as it grows bigger as well.
Oh yeah, well that's it. It has to scale nicely. And yeah, a nice the animated beetle.
Oh, and if it does get a little bit misshapen, then you've got the button in which you can like make it round.
Okay. So sometimes you might have to use half of it to like. There's a section you have to like block a door so you can get past it soon enough, but then it just comes down and cuts the dung in half, and you've got like a half bit of dung that you then have to roll back into a ball.
But you can then like. Roll it back up together, once you get half through and half through.
I like the idea of...
You can roll it back up together.
Yeah. I like the idea of puzzles where you need to do that. So it's like you have to make this huge ball of dung, but then cut it in half, and then it's like a seesaw sort of thing, right? You can put something on one side and drop it on the other, and it launches some of it.
Yeah,
it's almost so many puzzles. There's almost a bit of
so many ideas that we can do with it.
Well, there's almost a bit of snipper clips in there, right? You have to sort of be able to carve bits out.
Oh, God.
All right, that's cool.
Luckily, there's no smell-o-vision.
Yeah. Those would be the extra bits. If we got it done in like the first 24 hours, those base bits, it's then like, all right, now let's bring in puzzles where you can like make it different shapes and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. All right, this next one we're not putting that limitation on though. We're going all out if we need to. All right. Blend.
Valet.
What do we do now? Blend valet.
Oh, God.
Well, this doesn't have to be. Look, and I know we all went to a valet in a blender. But blend could be like a mix of something, right? What were you going to say?
You know that's exactly where I went.
Of course.
And there was the record scratch. How did I get into this?
Just as the blender starts up and its legs are gone. You might be wondering how I got here. I fell in. End of story. Now I'm dead. Why there was a giant blender there, I don't know. Or maybe someone used that shrink ray on them from there. Maybe it's a sequel to the shrink ray thing. No.
Okay.
Maybe you're a valet who is part car.
No, I've got an idea for the valet has been going off joyriding, and he chose the wrong car to joyride off in because he basically chose effectively Jigsaw's car.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say it was a transformer, but okay.
No.
So it's this right. So a serial killer who likes to play horrible, deadly games with
people who do
victims.
Wrong. So the idea being that kind of like, have you seen the game Human Fall Flat? Where there's like all these different levels that this character has to go through.
Yeah,
I kind of like the idea that it's sort of like he's in a high rise building.
Okay,
and each level basically has like this massive blender like lawnmower sort of thing coming towards him.
Okay.
That, you know, he's got to basically get through the level, get down, drop into the next level, and then it all starts again with different crazy things. I like the idea of it there being effectively like Super Meat Boy. But with a valet.
Right. Is it side scrolling again then? Is it that sort of quick 3D platforming where like one hit and you're dead sort of thing?
Good question. I kind of like it both ways. I'm not sure which way. Maybe it can be the first 5 levels are 2D and then it turns into a 3D thing on the next one, and then
I was kind of almost pitching an endless runner sort of style, and not necessarily actually endless, but like that style of running either into or away from the sort of the screen, and the big blender thing is just like coming towards you. And there's this valet just like panicking, tripping over things, flailing along. And yeah. Do you get to sometimes drive, like, or do you start in the car maybe at least?
I think you start off as a valet.
Yeah.
And your first thing is, you know, you can choose to go hot rodding.
Yeah.
Well, is the only choice. And then
you can choose to nicely park the car in the parking spot.
Either way, you're going to get gassed.
Right, okay.
You go to open up the door and basically you get hit by gas, and it's like no matter
the voice comes
whether
over
you were for driving or
it's like, you're mine now. I'm going to blend you, Fred Valet.
Fred. Don't know why, but that's just an awesome name for a valet.
Yeah, well, and his last name's literally Valet. It's just a weird coincidence. Like, it's any job he could get.
3 to 1 click.
Okay.
To go.
Footwork.
Constipation.
What do we do now? Is this someone? Is this someone who has to dance to get the poo to come out?
I think so. Okay, so the way this actually starts is this guy goes to the doctor.
Yep.
And the doctor says, "I'm sorry, sir, but you're allergic to laxatives."
Okay.
But
you are severely impacted.
So you must use this this new 3-step program. It's called.
Okay, what are the 3 steps?
The first step is you put on dancing shoes.
Okay.
The second step is you put on music.
Yeah.
The third step is dance until you poo.
Well, the third step is here are 27 other steps, and they're all dance steps, and you have to learn it.
The 3 steps are cha cha cha.
There you go. You're a dance teacher, Trevor. You need to bring in some good dance puns. What are the names of some steps?
Well, you can always do an alamana, or you can do, basic into fan.
Yeah, exactly. No, those are boring. Okay.
Yes.
They don't mean anything to me or our audience, mostly.
No.
All right. So, what sort of game is it? Is it a DDR pad that you play on? Or it's some other sort of dancing mechanic?
Now I'm really liking the DDR pad.
I like the idea. Do you know that leap motion thing that can detect where your fingers are? I like the idea of a dance game that you control by making 2 little legs with your fingers. And having to actually do the moves and move them around in a space. It's like VR but for your hands. That'd be cool.
Oh, I'm trying it right now and it just sucks.
Well, that's because you're trying to do actual dance moves because you're a dancer.
Yes.
I think you could keep it simple enough. And, you've got the little character on the screen who's following those moves, and when you get it right, they just drop a giant turd. It's like, that's your score. That's your score.
Okay, so the image is, you don't actually have to be up and dancing, you just got to be doing, the actual footwork, so you're literally sitting on the toilet, you see all you see is, from the knees down.
Okay. And you're moving these legs with your fingers.
Yeah. And basically you're doing sort of DDR sort of steps and it's sort of going forward and back and you I'm just imagining hearing relief during.
You just hear a splash.
Splash. Splash.
Or maybe it's because that's fine. And I know you're just trying to sort of keep it, family friendly to some degree so that it's literally not someone dancing out on a dance floor just dropping turds all over it. But I kind of like that added challenge of either, one, you have to time the dance move so you're back at the toilet when you're about to drop, or 2, now you've put obstacles on the dance floor. That's added challenge because you don't want to step on it. You don't want to slip.
Oh, shit.
That's one we could do in 48 hours if we learned the leap motion inputs.
We've got to have leap motion first.
I've got a leap motion.
Do you?
I do. I've never used it. I should bring it.
Yeah, you got to bring that now.
All right.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, click.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Is it another poo-based word?
Bracing.
Mixer. What do we do now? All right. No, I think this is
lots of places that you can take bracing.
Well, I think this is you're at a party, at a mixer, a singles mixer, but you play a woman, and from what I can imagine, those things are probably pretty awful for women because guys are horrible. So you're really having to brace yourself for what's coming, and basically you have to talk to people and
shut down their one-liners with it's basically the combat system from Monkey Island, where it's the verbal combat. Yeah, you need to
give snappy comebacks,
to
shut people down.
Just shut them down, the best way possible.
Although I like the idea that if they get really horrible and misogynistic, you can swipe left, by which I mean with your fist across their face.
Or
wait, swipe left is the bad one, right? I don't fucking know. I've never used Tinder.
I don't know. How about swiping up, which is bringing your knee up into their nats?
Yeah, totally.
What do you reckon about the Monkey Island?
Yeah.
Verbal combat.
Yeah, Yeah, that's cool. As long as you could, write some good ones.
Oh, you just get Orson Scott Card to write them. I mean, he wrote the pirate sword fighting in Monkey Island 1.
Orson Scott Card wrote them?
Yeah.
But he's a horrible...
The guy who wrote Ender's Game.
But he's a horrible racist. I don't want him.
Yeah.
Or is he a racist? No, he's a homophobe. He's probably a racist too. We'll find someone else.
There's a lot of bad people in Hollywood and all that sort of stuff.
There's just a lot of bad people. But if we're literally making a game about like women getting to punch assholes, then we probably don't want to hire an asshole. Anyway, yeah. we'll find someone with some better politics. All right, 3, 2, 1, click.
God.
Burn it through them. Speaking of which, mine is earn.
Walloping.
So your grandmother's ashes have just gotten a walloping, and they're everywhere, and your mum's about to get home. What do we do now? It's a vacuuming game. Using the Wiimotes.
No, it's in VR.
It's in VR. Okay. Get some.
Grandma's ashes are all over the ground.
Yep. It's a few little bits of bone. Those are like your treasure, like your collectibles. It's like if you.
That one's the little finger.
Yeah. If you collect the whole hand, you get an achievement. But that's a lot because there's like lots of bones in a hand, right? I'm pretty sure there's like 50 or something. 27. There's 27 bones in a hand. That's about right for collectibles.
Okay.
It's like I found a metatarsal. I think that's a hand bone. I don't actually know.
Well, the metacarpal.
Tarsal? I don't know. I think I got that wrong.
I just went with carpal because of the carpal tunnel.
Yeah, that makes sense. So. It is a metacarpal. Yeah. You're right.
Yep. Awesome.
Is that the whole game? Right. Is that the whole game? No, we can keep going with that. So what are your challenges? Like, obviously, yeah, there's dust, there's ash lying and everything, and so you got your vacuum cleaner and you're trying to clean it out.
So can you choose like different vacuum cleaners? Based off
your different attachments, right? So if it's on the curtains, you got to make sure to use the little brush thing,
the curtain attachment.
Yeah.
I like the idea that it is in VR and it could be in room scale.
Yeah. The room.
There are teleporting mechanics so that you can.
Oh, I was thinking like each room you're in, like just reconfigures itself, kind of like a job simulator does. I think to the size of whatever space you've set up. Although I guess that might make the challenge a bit too easy for small spaces or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So it's teleporting.
All right, teleporting, fine.
Maybe
there's a control on the vacuum cleaner where you can like put it on really high and it sucks you towards that direction.
You got the latest and greatest, and it just
it's just like you're like attached to the wall there. It's like turn it off. All right, now I'm over here.
So I'm seeing that maybe in one room you can like pull out the Roomba.
Okay.
But of course they can only do the ground.
Yeah.
So you've still got the curtains and all that sort of stuff.
So is it literally this like there's a time limit and you've got to get through the whole house? Somehow it got like not only did it get a walloping, but it also got sucked into the inflow for the ducted heating. So it's literally blown into every room
everywhere
in the house. And so you've got levels for each room and you've got a time limit and you just got to suck it all up. And you get like a percentage at the end of how much you got. So what are the challenges of each room? There's like the cat who comes and like pushes it around and spreads it even further.
So because you need to be able to get it back into the urn, I think another challenge that you can have is percentage of grandma in the urn. Because you don't want too much dust in the urn. You want only ash.
Oh, I see. So you've got to avoid just other dirt and dust and stuff that's around. Is there a way to tell? Maybe you can put on some goggles. Just highlight grandma, but you can't use them while you're using the vacuum cleaner because it interferes with them.
Yeah, it's a Doom 3 situation. Before they added the mod.
Yeah. The duct tape.
In the later edition. So you can only either have like the goggles on, or the vacuum running. If you have the vacuum running when the goggles are on, like everything just goes fuzzy on there because like the vacuum cleaner is so powerful that it like interferes with the with the goggles.
Yeah, yeah. It's like when you used to watch TV and your mum would run the vacuum cleaner and it'd go all crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, it just affects like electromagnetic transmission.
Yeah.
Some bullshit like that.
Yeah. I also like the idea that you've managed to like hook the urn up to the vacuum cleaner and so it's just actually blasting into the urn.
It's like
just like
you
seeing
got an
it fill up. Yeah, you're just like seeing it fill up on like attached to the top. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and it measures the percentage of what you got is actual grandma versus other human skin, which being dust and bugs and Lego pieces and
I'm
socks.
thinking one of the things in the game is you can like you find a secret compartment.
Okay.
Like, if you're vacuuming around and you happen to, say, knock into a wall, you find out that it's actually hollow behind it.
Okay.
And so, by vacuuming in the right place, you can actually open the secret door. You go down there and there's like, I'm just imagining more human remains.
Oh, God. Why?
So it
turns out your parents are serial killers.
Either your parents or your grandparents were serial killers.
So you're like, so there's a narrative here as well. Yes, as you vacuum up grandma, you're also like finding out about her life and that she was a horrible, horrible person. I was going to say maybe you opened the secret door and grandma's down there and she faked her death, and maybe that's the end game. And it's like, well, I just vacuumed you all up. Like,
who the fuck did I just? Who
did I just vacuum up? It's like I don't know. It was Joe from down the street. He had a heart attack. I took my opportunity. Put makeup on him. Now that you found out.
and she goes, "There's too much dust in here," so she replaces. Like she's got a crematorium down there. She replaces the ashes with yours.
You just wake up in the urn. Somehow you're still alive, and you're just like an anthropomorphic
Turns out
urn.
that you're now haunting the house.
Yeah, now you're haunting the house. Sets up the sequel, which is a completely different game. All right.
I don't know, I really quite like that idea of, you know, vacuuming up grandma and then there's a storyline behind it. It's kind of like a walking simulator. Like,
yeah, but with some
actual
challenging mechanics around, collecting everything. And, I think you do have to do things in the right order or there is the cat who keeps coming to, I don't know, lick up the ashes. And so you have to keep blasting it with the vacuum cleaner so it backs off or something. Someone comes in and turns the fan on in one room. Cool.
Yeah, I like it. 3 to 1
yeah.
quick. Quibbling.
Stenography.
Oh, God. We've got some weird words today.
So, stenography is like shorthand, often used in like a courtroom.
Okay. And quibbling is arguing or raising objections about a trivial matter.
Yeah. What do we do now?
So,
I feel like what do we do now is so broad that it can kind of just apply to anything.
Exactly. It's not really much of a it's not really stopping us from doing anything. Okay.
Oh.
You play a stenographer in a courtroom.
Okay.
I like the idea of this being in VR because I just we just watched a video today.
Mm-hmm.
And it was L.A. Noire.
Yes.
So I'm just imagining having to like write, in shorthand,
So wait, do you have to actually learn shorthand?
Either shorthand or you've just got to type.
Well, I was going to say,
as fast
also,
as you can.
like modern stenographers have some sort of typewriter.
Yeah. So I like the idea that you have to actually write down what is actually being said in this courtroom. It's just a trivial matter.
So this is just a training sim for becoming a stenographer.
Oh, something
basically.
like that.
Have you seen stenography and shorthand? It's fucking weird.
It is. It's really fucked up. I like the idea that it's basically the most boring sort of court case that you can think of.
Right. But there's lots of big words.
Lots of big words that you got to sort of type, and then every now and again the judge asks you to read it back.
Oh God!
And depending on what you've written, like I
see the AI, like the game.
The AI
the game
will
itself.
Just do a text to speech.
I'm not sure this could be a game in itself, but it could be like a part of a game. Is there some sort of interesting... Well, so maybe this is like a cool narrative thing where you're a stenographer who solves a crime in some way. Maybe you're brought in because the criminal is leaving shorthand notes everywhere. No one can read it. And so it's like, oh, shit, bring in that courtroom stenographer. And you're like an 80-year-old woman. I'm just thinking of...
Who has like one of the little stenographer machines around her neck so she can
Yeah,
like,
totally.
touch
I'm just thinking of... Because we've been watching Parks and Rec. And I'm just thinking of... I can't remember what her name is. But is it like Ethel something? It's probably Ethel something. She's the stenographer in like the council chambers.
Yep.
Ethel Beavers. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So you're brought in to read these things... But maybe, like, you read something that shocks you so much, you don't give them the whole information and you just go on to solve the crime yourself because you know the person who committed it because they come to your, stenography club meetings where you all sit around watching movies and transcribing them in shorthand just for fun. I'm sure that's what stenographers do for fun, right? Yeah, and then it's like... I don't know what the game. I don't know if it's like an adventure game or something. But there are these because now you're also the stenographer on that case or related cases, and so maybe you manage to sort of gather information through that, but you have to actually do your job at the same time.
I'm just wondering with like interrogations and that sort of stuff, whether you keep on raising objections about like the simplest little nuances of what they said,
right? Because you've got
like the trivial matters.
You've got the record, you can read it back. Yeah, there's a bit of what's his name? The guy in the games with the objections, Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, Ace Attorney.
I always
that you can.
I always whenever I try to think of Phoenix Wright, because it's Ace Attorney, I think of Ace Ventura, and I'm like, that's not it.
Alrighty then.
Objection.
Let's click again.
Oh, objection then. Okay.
3, 2, 1. Click.
Treason.
Ligament.
What do we do now? So, you're the president of the United States, and you're playing golf, and you just tore your ligament, and now you're being charged with treason. Oh, sorry. That's just what I wish would happen. That's just my dreams.
Oh, God.
Treason ligament. Maybe this is another one, because we've had games before where you sort of play organs of the body or like different parts of the body.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a game where your Osmosis Jones-esque character...
And you're investigating who tore the ligament.
Well, you're investigating this ligament for treason. You're investigating whether or not they intentionally tore to rebel against the body. All right,
playing golf.
Well, sure. I don't know where the game is in that.
I got nothing.
No.
3, 2, 1, click.
Anteater.
Shack.
What do we do now? Well, I know that's probably SHACK, but I kind of want to do SHAQ.
I knew you would too. Okay, it's a world where Shaquille O'Neal is an
anteater, or maybe
is secretly an anteater.
I kind of wish it was Aardvark, because they can like roll into balls, and then it'd be just a world where they're playing basketball, but with Aardvarks. Oh no, Armadillo. That's what I'm thinking of. All right, but we got all right, anteater. So Shaq is an anteater. So is that he's just bigger than all the other anteaters and better at basketball? Like, what makes someone the Shaq of anteaters?
Hang on. Most armadillo species forage in the early morning and evening hours for a variety of invertebrates and insects. There we go. It's an anteater. So it can be an armadillo.
All right. We'll do that shift just so we can have them roll up into a ball, right?
Yep.
All right. So this is a world where, for some reason, the tradition of basketball is that you play with an armadillo.
Yep.
But
you can't dribble the armadillo because
That's
damages.
A
So
bit cruel.
the idea is it's kind of like a game of hot potato.
Right. Well, it's a bit more like
where
netball.
you can't actually have it hit the ground.
Oh, okay. You can't have it hit the ground. Right. So it's about protecting the armadillo, but also getting it through a hoop safely.
Yes.
Safely. Yeah. Okay. So how would this change basketball? Obviously, we've talked about no dribbling, no dropping it.
No bounce passes.
Yeah. But you can throw it, obviously.
Yeah, you can throw. I think you were right by saying netball.
So like you can't
not being able
you can't remove with the dillo.
Yep. So gameplay wise, I'm liking the idea that it's played on like instead of a basketball sized court.
Okay.
I like the idea that it's actually played on like a soccer sized field.
Oh, geez. All right. I guess that does make it more of a challenge to really get it from one side to the other without it being intercepted and without dropping it. And yeah.
So you've got to sort of work out how you can pass this armadillo around.
Yeah. Well, and so you get penalties for a throw that doesn't get caught.
You get penalties for how hurt the armadillo gets.
Yeah. You get penalties for how many animal rights activists attack you after the game. You need to keep that to a minimum.
Yep.
So that could bring in strategies where, like, you notice someone try to pass, and so you tackle the person who's going to catch it because if that armadillo drops. Although I wonder if there's penalties on both sides. Like, because it's about protecting the armadillo, maybe there's penalties to both sides if it gets hurt at all, but you still have to get it into your own zone. So you can't just stop someone else from catching it. Like, that's going to give everyone a penalty. So you have to, like, shove them out of the way and catch it yourself.
Yep. Okay. What you can do though, and this is like the new rule that's sort of just come in. If you roll the armadillo on the ground,
okay, that's legal.
You know, it may have hit the ground, but it's legal because it hasn't dropped and got hurt.
Yeah.
Only a little bit dizzy because it's now rolling really fucking fast.
And also there's the chance that it'll just run then. Like, it'll take off on its own.
And that gives you a little bit of extra
like
maybe movement.
Well, as long as it goes in the
area.
right direction. Yeah, totally.
I'm just wondering whether, you know, to stop it from getting outside of the field, it's got like a shock collar on it.
Jesus. Well, although, to be fair, if we're talking like the modern version of a traditional sport about protecting an armadillo, like, it'd just all be about the money and the merchandising. They wouldn't actually give a fuck about the armadillo anymore, except for the extent of how it plays into the rules of the game.
An armadillo gets killed. You just get another one out of the
closet, yeah,
out of like the sports equipment box, and throw it out.
There's just all these moaning, dehydrated armadillos in there. Funnily enough, a big part of this game is the animal rights activists. Like, I don't know why we've been playing this game for hundreds of years, but they're not into it.
They seem all right with it.
Look, they haven't complained.
and you know what? We decided to start cloning them, so it's only clones of
they still feel pain, but like technically we've only hurt one. Like, from a DNA basis. So what's your problem, goddamn liberal hippies?
Well, actually, I heard that the doctors managed to get rid of the gene that actually makes it feel pain. So it doesn't even feel pain anymore.
Yeah, not physical pain.
And it doesn't
feel physical pain. Like, there's emotional pain still, of course. You know, we have to admit that. But they're pretty dumb. They can't. How many emotions could they have? 3? I think that'll do us for this week.
What are the emotions it's got? Anger and disappointment.
Yeah, and funnily enough, horniness. Yeah, which is ironic because they're clones and they're infertile. Thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm.
I think Peter's going to have something to say about this.
Oh God, Peter sponsor it. Weirdly enough, like, those guys don't know what the fuck they're doing. So if you want to find us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, they're at BitstormCast. We've got a Facebook group, facebook.com/group/bitstorm. Come and talk to us there. We are on Podchaser, podchaser.com/bitstorm.
We're on iTunes, where you can rate, review, subscribe. We've got a website, bitstormcast.com. Love to plug our friends at the AGPN, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Check out hashtag AGPN on Twitter or the Australasian Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook for all those wonderful shows. And finally, we'd like to thank Krudas for the song Mount Defiance off the album Containment Failure.
Thank you for joining us on Bitstorm again. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
Squash that poo.